Everyone knows what is doing laundry is like. Monotonous work while your brain tries to waste away the minutes it takes for the machine to finish its cycle. Occasionally having sniff conversations in the passing with the strangers. This night was no different at first. As I pulled my laundry out of the dryer and began to fold it on the little table, I heard a voice over the loop of my headphones. "Excuse me, are you using this?" The voice came from a man in his late 40s, early 50s. He wore glasses that reminded me of my grandfather. He was wearing a stained disposable face mask and hung under his nose and just above his mouth. I could see the start of a dirty blonde mustache poking out. He was gesturing to an empty cart next to the table. I simply said, "No, I'm good. I have one already." And he took it and began loading his laundry and folding it on the table, adjusting for mine. Now, he started asking questions that all lonely older men seem to ask. "What's your name?" "Michael." "Ah, that's beautiful. So how old are you?" 22. "Do you live around here?" "Not really, the town over there." "Do you go to college?" "What do you study?" "Yes, culinary arts management." "Oh, so do you like to cook?" "Yes." I tried keeping the conversation short, but lighthearted. As it continued with some sort of remarks about wonders of doing laundry, he asked the dreaded question, "Where do you work?" "Do you live by yourself?" I hesitated on the questions momentarily, trying to keep my privacy intact without any provocation. "Oh, you wouldn't know it. It's a small mom and pop restaurant." He stopped folding his laundry as I just started to load mine into my humper. He walked over my table and leaned against the washer so that he was in my eyesight. His eyes squinted slightly as he put his mask under his chin, covering his face. He then awkwardly called out, "So, do you want to go to the movies with me sometime, cutie?" My eyebrows kindled together softly as a wave of different emotions flooded my brain. Confusion. As to why he even asked, I didn't even know his name. Embarrassment, as he's easily my father's age, and I'm not into that. Shocked, because this man doesn't even know what my face looks like. Anxiety, because I have to reject him. I was so thankful for my mask, because I'm sure my expression was not the one he would have liked to see. I softly shook my head, and he copied my actions in tandem. I fumbled out a soft, "No, I'm sorry, I have a boyfriend." I studied his face as I watched his brain process my response. He kindled his eyebrows together and curled his lips. I could see nicotine stains on his teeth. He replies in an eerie soft tone, like how you call me fuzzy baby. "Oh no, you don't want to go to the movies? You have a boyfriend? Okay." He nodded his head with his last words. His eyes whitened slightly as they fixated on mine. His voice grew suddenly cold. "It's okay. You don't have to lie to me. It's okay. You don't have to lie to me." And don't sing the don'ts with tingles of anger. Annoyance filled me at his accusation. "I'm not lying. We've been together for a year and a half. I love him." His eyes softened as if he just now realized the two other people in the laundromat. He sank away, returning to his laundry, long abandoned. I looked at him as I pulled my humper into my arms and uttered a small "have a nice day." I haven't been back to that specific laundromat, and I don't do laundry alone anymore. A few months ago, I, 22, was at a local coin laundromat. I went late because I had been studying around 10 p.m. The laundry is pretty small, closer to the edge of the beach town I lived in. The town is pretty well known with drifters and people experiencing homelessness. Most people are friendly and there are a lot of drug use, but I've never really felt scared. Everything was fine until I went to move my laundry to a dryer. I was listening to music on my headphones, but not super loudly. Suddenly, I just got a feeling that someone was watching me. I couldn't really explain it. I just felt the presence. I turned around and there was a man standing just a few feet from me. He was a white guy with pink hair wearing a full face mask, like a ski mask, a hoodie, gloves, and sunglasses, even though it was dark out. I thought maybe he was a drafter or high, but I didn't want it to be rude. I tried to laugh it off and told him he surprised me. He immediately started talking. A lot of it was disjoint and just didn't make sense. He was talking about coming from Brazil to bring his brother money to get a classic car. None of it made much sense, but he would ask me questions and wait for me to respond, so I just tried to play along. I still thought he was just probably high or something, but he was standing between me and the only door, and I started getting this gut feeling that he was blocking the door on purpose, not just accidentally as he talked to me. He was getting closer to me as he talked, and the feeling got stronger. Logically, something was off, but mostly, I just had this feeling in the pit of my stomach that I needed to leave, and kept him talking until I could. I started to edge to the side, but he stayed in front of me, and the feeling got more intense. I started to grip my keys in attack position just in case. He talked more, and then backed off a little. He took off his backpack, which was a child's unicorn backpack, and set it on a nearby dryer. I looked over to the door for a second, and when I looked back, he was pulling something I couldn't see and holding it to the side, behind him where I couldn't see it. But I did see what was in his backpack. Duct tape. Instantly, it was just like an alarm went off. There was no more worrying about being rude, no more second guessing myself that he was just off but harmless. It was like this cold numb of dread just washed down over me. I almost felt calm, like I knew the next steps. I knew I had to do something. Time seemed to move in slow motion, and he turned back to me, not saying anything anymore, and took a step forward. I gripped my keys as tightly as possible and tried to mentally prepare to fight. I remember being afraid that I would be too slow to move, or weak, like in a nightmare. But all of a sudden, the door to the laundromat opened, and a woman walked in, barely even looking at us, as she went to go do her laundry. It was like a scene in a movie, a moment of infinity, just interrupted by someone innocently, and suddenly it's over. He just turned, got his bag, and left. I was so scared. I just stayed there a minute until I could get my laundry and just go home. I didn't report it. I never knew what to say since nothing had actually happened. But when I think about it, I think the scariest thing is that he left as soon as someone walked in. If he was just crazy, it wouldn't have mattered. I think a stranger's laundry timer saved me from something terrible. I don't go to that laundry anymore. I joined a laundry service. The extra cost is worth it to never go back. So, to the man with the pink hair and the unicorn backpack, let's not meet again. I'm a long-time lurker, and although I had my fair shares of creepy run-ins, this is my first time posting in the sub. I'm also on mobile, so I'm really sorry about the formatting. This just happened about 2 hours ago, so I'm still in a kind of processing of what I've encountered. Basically, I live in a somewhat sketchy complex with my husband. I have Mondays off, and decided to go get a head start on laundry today as soon as my husband left for work at around 7 a.m. The building has a shared laundry room that's positioned at the opposite end of the hallway from our apartment, and to avoid unnecessary halting of laundry baskets, I'll usually peek my head from out of the door to listen for a sound of someone else running the machines. You can always hear it if someone is doing laundry because the walls in the building are pretty thin. Today was no different, and when I did my little sound check, it was all quiet, no machines running, so I grabbed my stuff and head down the hallway. I get to the laundry room door and start to push it open. The room has motion sensor lights that automatically start to flicker on once you step into the room and activate the sensors, and this takes a couple of seconds. But today, the lights were already on fully as if someone were already in the room. I pause with the door half open and start to look around because if someone is already starting their laundry, I wanted to give them space. From my perspective, 2 out of the 4 machines were free, but as I started to push the door more open, I noticed that the trash can was pulled out into the middle of the floor. In the seconds it took me to process that, my gut instinct must have kicked in, because I'm already sensing something is wrong, When I hear a soft grunt, look at the little cove where the trash can usually is, and see a pair of eyes staring back at me. Almost hidden between one of the washers and a shelf that's built into the wall was a half-man squatting, half-sitting and staring at me from the back of the trash can. He was sweaty and his eyes looked pretty bloodshot and yellowed. This all happened in maybe about 5 seconds. I locked eyes with him, and before I could even think, my brain activated. I just shut the door with him still half squatting behind the trash can, and booked it back into the apartment laundry basket, wobbling against my hip, locking the door behind me. I'm pretty sure I lost a towel too, but honestly, rest in peace towel. I'm not going back for it. The chances that this guy was just homeless or strung out or both are pretty high. Regardless, I didn't want to wait around to find out. Especially consider how loudly the danger bells were going off in my head as soon as I opened that door. I'll take dirty laundry over finding out what that guy was really doing in there.